I am currently married to Matthew. He had an affair. I filed for divorce. His mother came to me and said I needed to work on my marriage and not give up so easily. So I asked her how she dealt with her husband's infidelity in their marriage. She started stammering and asking what I was talking about. So I said that 5 years ago her husband had an affair. If she expects me to work through this, I need her advice. How did she deal with her husband having an affair? I told her that Matthew had asked me not to talk about it, so I kept my mouth shut. She got up and left. From what I've heard, they had a massive fight. Her husband is denying everything. Matthew denied that he knew anything about the affair, much less telling me to act as if nothing happened. My mother-in-law is angry at her husband for cheating and at Matthew for keeping her in the dark. For the record, I just wanted her to leave me alone and think about my point of view when I made up the father-in-law's affair. Edit, I only found out about the affair because Matthew gave me an STI. I found out about the other affairs while fighting with him. My father-in-law said he was golfing with Matthew on Saturdays and that they were taking overnight fishing trips. He did this to help Matthew have excuses for his absence from home. He helped Matthew cheat. Lastly, my mother-in-law came to my home, which she owns, and gave us cheap rent while I was packing up my stuff to move out. That's why I let her in. You made up the affair? You lied to her about her father-in-law having an affair? Your husband cheats on you, he's a douchebag, but your answer to that is to blame another woman and take your anger out on her by throwing a grenade in her marriage for something you do not even have first-hand knowledge about, and you may very well be wrong. Of course you're the idiot. You don't make something like that up. Any excuse you come up with to justify this is BS. OP's husband cheated on her. Why is the mother-in-law inserting herself in this? How dare she? She raised this idiot. Now she's defending her shifty son. How about you just shut up, Mom? You're not the idiot, but a way to distinguish the fire from the oil. Ha ha. Sounds like mother-in-law needs to look in the mirror. But please leave that whole family far behind. It's safer to assume that the father is a cheater too. People who don't cheat don't agree to be a cheater's cover. I could see, maybe inadvertently, once if someone used you as a cover without asking. Chances are you might be too stunned to correct them. But if you're a decent person, once you've had time to absorb the situation and get all the facts, you'd make certain the cheater never brought your name into their lies again, one way or another. The only people willing to help someone with an affair likely need an alibi for something themselves. Girl, well done. I'm not usually one for throwing a grenade in someone else's marriage, but between father-in-law's actions and Matthew's mom not leaving you alone when she obviously, from her reaction, has an issue with cheating, I'm sure you're not the idiot. Hear me out. Everyone's the idiot here. But honestly, I've done something similar once. A dear friend of mine wanted to cheat on his wife with me and made the proposition. I said it's crazy that both tried the same move on the same friend on the same day. I asked him if it was planned. He stared at me for a moment and was like, "Wait, my wife hit on you? When?" I said she only just asked me if I'd meet up with her later and have intimacy, but I told her no because she had a man. And now, here's that same man asking me the same question. He started crying about how his wife was cheating, and I responded with, "She's not, but now you know how it feels. Don't do that." Sometimes you just gotta hand those lessons out. I'm 30 female, pregnant with my first child due mid-July. My parents are the only family that lives close to me, a 15-minute drive away. We moved across the country to be closer to them a few years ago because they're 69 and 70, and the rest of the family and my siblings live very far away. I didn't want them to be on their own as they started to age, and since we were planning to have kids soon, I wanted them in my kids' lives. This will be their first grandchild. The issue: every year my entire extended family goes on vacation from the end of July into August. I'm obviously not going this year since I'll either have a very fresh newborn or will actively be giving birth if I go longer than 40 weeks. My due date is 6 days before. My parents typically go on this family trip for 3 weeks. In November, I told my parents about my pregnancy, and their first concern was whether my husband and I would be able to go on the family vacation. They let me know that they'd been considering going for longer this year, potentially 6 weeks, and suggested I drive up. This is an 18-hour drive with the newborn and stay for a few days since I'll be on maternity leave. I've never had a kid, but an 18-hour drive a couple of weeks postpartum with a newborn sounds like a nightmare, and a flight with a baby less than 6 weeks old isn't something I'm comfortable doing, so I said that wasn't going to happen. They were disappointed, but the conversation ended there. On Christmas, while the whole family was together, they told us they've decided to book the vacation for the whole 6 weeks. plus an extra week to visit my sisters in the city they both live in, close to where we all vacation. The vacation will start July 23rd, and they'll be back in mid-September. My sister, bless her, mentioned that it was kind of messed up that they'd be leaving me during birth and then gone for the first 7 weeks of my kid's life. The response? She knows she can come up any time after the baby is born. I was a little upset that they'd booked the longer trip even though they knew about the due date, and the response threw me off since I'd already told them I wasn't going to be driving or flying up less than 6 weeks postpartum with a newborn. I ended up telling my mom I would really like to have them there sooner than 7 weeks, and that I was a little hurt that it felt like they weren't interested in meeting their grandchild. Her response was, "You're resourceful. I know if you really want us there, you'll find a way to deliver early so we can be there." I was floored, and I didn't have an answer for that. I know having my baby shouldn't impact everyone's lives, and I wouldn't expect it to. I didn't expect them to delay their usual 3-week vacation, and I wouldn't have asked them to. But they're choosing to be gone an extra month and haven't indicated any remorse over leaving me alone during a time I'd really like to have my parents around. I'm not expecting them to take care of my kid, but I have no idea what I'm doing, and the thought of having absolutely no family nearby if something happens is terrifying. I usually can get over stuff like this with them, but it's been over a month and I keep getting more upset and angrier. Each time I bring it up, they act like my choice not to drive or fly up after the birth is the problem here, not the extra month they've added onto the trip. At this point, I don't even want to talk to them. I haven't seen them in weeks, and I feel terrible about it since I moved here to support them and help as needed, but I don't have the stomach to be around them right now. I genuinely feel like they don't care about their first grandchild at all, or me, and it's making me question my entire relationship with them. I know pregnancy can cause hormonal reactions, so I figured I'd ask strangers since my, obviously very biased husband and siblings are outraged for me. Am I overreacting? Edit, I've been really conflicted about how I've been responding to this, oscillating between it's not a big deal and no, you're allowed to be upset, and it's nice to hear outsiders' opinions. I think I'm mostly upset about their insistence that I need to travel, give birth early so they can meet my kid, not the 7-week vacation itself. My parents wanted us to move closer, and we were happy to do it because at the time we were renting in a HCOL city and were planning to try to buy a home, so we ended up buying a townhouse over from them. I never expected my parents to be childcare for my kids, even though they brought it up at one point. I was clear to them that my moving close was not under the expectation of a built-in babysitter, since I don't want them obligated to watch my kids in their retirement. My in-laws still work full-time and live across the country. My mother-in-law is planning to come for a few days in August, but they both have very demanding jobs and can't hop on a flight without notice. I guess in hindsight my parents have behaved a bit selfishly before, but not at the level of asking me to endanger myself and my kid, and I've always been able to make excuses for it. For example, they never visited me when I lived across the country for years and repeatedly asked them to please come, but I chalked that up to COVID, post-COVID and unwillingness to fly. I'm rethinking that now. Not the idiot. First of all, a 6-week vacation? I mean, I guess people do this, but them choosing to do this the week you're due is wild, especially with their first grandchild. Personally, I'd be considering living in the sticks to take care of people who think you're resourceful enough to force an early birth just for them. I've heard some entitled BS in my life, but that one takes the cake. OP, that is some BS, truly. I'm that kind of witch now that when they ask for help, I'd reply, "Well, you're resourceful. I'm sure you and Dad can figure that out." I would also not even tell any of them when the baby comes. 1, because they don't deserve to know, and 2, you don't need them pressuring you to drive 18 damn hours from home when you're sleep deprived and fumbling through cluster feedings. I'd be moving far away as soon as an opportunity presented itself. They want OP to help them but don't want to bother even being around to meet the grandkid. Screw that. I'm sorry you're going through this. You will be okay. Just set your expectations accordingly and plan to find support in other ways. I know it isn't easy, but you have more important things to focus on, like yourself and your baby. My wife came home today and told me she's scheduled a doctor's appointment for our son this Wednesday. She already arranged with her job to take him to the appointment, but she wants me to leave work early to check him out of school so she can save time. Her plan is for me to leave work about 2 hours early, check our son out of school, which takes maybe 5 minutes, and then sit and wait for her to arrive so she can take him to the appointment. I told her this made no sense to me. I'd be giving up roughly 2 hours of work just to save her about 5 minutes. She got upset and said, "I don't understand." She argues that because she's hourly, I should be the one to leave early and that I could just work from home or go back to work after I check him out and wait. I told her it would make more sense for me to just take him to the appointment instead, especially since I already take the kids to school and pick them up every day, even on her days off, and handle about 95% of their appointments. She's still mad at me. Honestly, once I leave work and come home, I don't want to think about work anymore. I have a very high-stress job where mistakes can have serious consequences, and breaking up my day like that is not easy or relaxing. I still don't understand why she thinks I should leave work 2 hours early just to save her a few minutes. Am I the idiot for refusing to leave work early to check my son out of school for my wife? Edit. I asked her again to explain it to me after she first told me her plan. She's upset because I didn't want to drop everything to make her day a little easier and save her time. Apparently, she says it was difficult to take off, but she never asked me. She just came up with this illogical plan. Moreover, my marriage isn't a marriage and hasn't been one for a while. I can't even remember the last time she gave me a hug or kiss. We sleep in different rooms. I have a grumpy roommate who wants to boss me around and then gets angry if I don't follow her directions. Not the idiot, but I'm so sorry. This sounds miserable. You offered a logical solution, take him yourself since you already handle everything anyway, but she doesn't want that because she wants to be in control and make you jump through hoops. This is classic passive-aggressive control. She's mad not because you're wrong, but because you dared to say no. Please watch for signs of this affecting your child. It may be best for all three of you, mental health-wise, to consider divorcing, unless it's not too late for marriage counselling. Dropping everything, including work, for a non-emergency situation is ridiculous and unreasonable. Your wife needs to come to her senses quickly because she is being unreasonable. OP, remember that your and your wife's lack of relationship is being modelled for your kids, and the loveless dysfunction will affect their future relationships. Probably worth their future happiness to divorce now rather than continue subjecting them to an unhappy, unhealthy marriage. Talk to a lawyer. The longer you stay married, the more she is entitled to. I do want an actual fair judgment, so for full disclosure, I do not like this guy. I have never liked this guy. I've known him since I was a kid, and everything about him just annoys me. I don't think I outwardly express it, but he probably doesn't think he outwardly expresses how much he doesn't like me either, and he definitely does. I'm trying to be fair in the way I explain the situation, but he would probably tell a different story. I work at the same company as my boyfriend's dad. I don't work for him, he isn't my boss. He's above me in the hierarchy, but not directly. You must go at a 45-degree angle to get to him from me. We still see each other often and work together sometimes, because that's just the nature of what we do. After my boyfriend and I first started dating officially, he told me that when he told his dad about us, his dad said, "You can't date that guy, we work together." Okay, well, nobody needs your permission. He was never particularly nice to me before, but since then he glares at me whenever he sees me. I do my best to ignore him, but it's pretty unprofessional. Speaking of professionalism and lack thereof, I have been written up twice for tardiness. This isn't a huge deal, it isn't great, it means I probably won't get promoted this year. I'm one of those people who think, I have plenty of time, oh crap, I'm running late. Like the time between doing good and running late doesn't exist. Yes, I know I have ADHD. My boyfriend, because he's awesome, has tried to help me in whatever way he can. He makes these breakfast burritos, freezes them, and puts one in the oven every morning while I'm getting ready. I take them to work with me and eat them during my commute or when I get to the office. Efficiency. This morning I was standing in the office eating my burrito, loving life, when my boyfriend's dad saw me. This time he not only glared at me, but he also said something. He said, "You don't have to rub it in my face that you're dating my kid." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I know my son made that." I didn't know what to say. I thought the situation was ridiculous. I was also annoyed at him for being such a baby about everything. I took another bite of my burrito. He scowled at me and then walked away. Normally, my boyfriend is 100% on my side. When I tell him about the glaring, he says it's not okay and immature. When I texted him about the burrito incident, he said I shouldn't have taken another bite in front of him. He said that was antagonistic. Was it? I feel like his dad is a grown man and should get over it. Am I the idiot for eating my breakfast in front of my boyfriend's dad? Not the idiot. And that's so weird. Your boyfriend's dad sounds like a very unhappy person to notice and be upset about that. With the benefit of 2020 hindsight, I think a fine response would have been, "Yeah, he's a great guy. At some point, you may have to involve HR. Yeah, eating breakfast at work is normal, and his comment was unprofessional and personal. Taking another bite may have irritated him, but that doesn't make you responsible for a grown man projecting his feelings about his son onto a burrito. Your boyfriend has been doing wrong by not telling his dad to shut up and leave you the heck alone. Enough with the passive-aggressive glaring. Leave my boyfriend alone is what he should have been doing from the start. The fact that he says you antagonize the guy by continuing to eat, he either needs to step up or you need to find a man willing to act like a grown-up. Is your actual boss aware of this situation? I would bring him up to speed. Also, does he not like you because you're gay, and now because you remind him that his son is gay and corrupted him? You need to talk to HR. This is starting to fall under a hostile work environment. Better to start documenting now. Update. I have really bad news about our HR department. His ex-girlfriend, who is also my best friend's stepmother, works there, so she wouldn't want to get involved on either side. It's a good job, but I would love to work with a bunch of strangers. And a fun fact about my boss, he and my boyfriend's dad have been best friends for like 30 years. This whole town is so damn intertwined. It's a mess.